Breaking news to bring you: a 40-year-old British man has been found guilty of all counts, murdering 2 women last year and for raping and attacking a 3rd woman. Simon Levy was arrested last year for murdering Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo and Sheryl Wilkins. While in police custody, he was also charged for raping another woman earlier in the year. Levy committed these attacks whilst being on bail for 10 sexual assaults on the London Underground. Sheryl Wilkins was killed in August of 2025, just months after Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo, whose murder Levy had already been arrested for. For more on this, I'm joined now by our correspondent, Barnaby Papadopoulos. Barnaby, what else can you tell us?
Well, essentially, this trial has painted a picture of a pattern of offending, and we've just had these verdicts in from the jury finding Simon Levy guilty of all counts. He's been found guilty of the rape of a woman who he raped in a car park in Tottenham in January 2025. We can't name that woman for legal reasons, but the court heard that she was attacked so severely that she broke a collarbone in that attack. 2 months later, in March 2025, Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo, a 53-year-old, was found dead. Now, Levy was arrested and then released under investigation. He was released under investigation because the police were looking at a number of suspects. On May the 1st, 2025, he was arrested and charged with sexual offences. Now, at the time, police asked prosecutors to apply for him to be remanded in custody. So that means he wouldn't have been released on bail. He would have been put in prison. We can see some of the footage of that arrest there. But a magistrate at Highbury Magistrates Court refused that request, and he was released on bail. He was ordered not to travel on public transport. Now, the following month, he was arrested again on suspicion of sexual offences. Again, he was bailed. Over that period, he failed to attend court for case management hearings and the like on a number of occasions. And he went on to murder Sheryl Wilkins, a 38-year-old, on the 24th of August. So he murdered Sheryl Wilkins whilst he was bailed by the police on suspicion of other offences. CCTV footage, which has been released by police, shows that incident. We can see Levy meeting Wilkins in a car park, and it was the last time that she was seen alive. The reason that this raises so many questions is because he was a prolific offender. One prosecutor during the trial said Levy's desire to assault women seemed to be on the verge of compulsive or pathological. He was convicted of a number of offences dating back to 2018. And in February, Levy was convicted of a series of other sexual assaults committed on the public transport between April 22 and May 2025. So he was convicted of sexual assault offences during the same period that these offences he's just been found guilty of were committed. So this raises questions for both the police and the CPS. And we do have a statement from the Chief Crown Prosecutor for the CPS, Lisa Ramsarin, which I can read to you now. The CPS statement reads, "Our deepest condolences remain with the families and loved ones of Sheryl Wilkins and Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo, and with the 3rd victim who survived a horrific and violent rape at the hands of Simon Levy. We recognise the level of concern around this case, and we have carried out a detailed review of our handling. We accept there was relevant information regarding bail that was not provided to the court when bail applications were being considered. Our actions fell short of the standards that victim families and the public are entitled to expect. In particular, there were points where we could and should have taken a more robust approach to representations about bail based on the information available. We cannot know what decisions the courts would have made had different or stronger representations been advanced, but we recognise our responsibility and we are sorry for the shortcomings we have identified." So a strong statement from the CPS there, just a reflection of how many opportunities were missed to stop Simon Levy, who has just been convicted of multiple counts of rape and murder.
Barnaby, thank you. Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock. You're watching Sky News. If you're just joining us, we begin with breaking news. A serial sex attacker has been found guilty of murdering 2 women and for raping and attacking a third woman. Simon Levy was arrested last year for murdering Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo and Sheryl Wilkins. While in police custody, he was also charged for raping another woman earlier in the year. Levy committed these attacks whilst being on bail for 10 sexual assaults on the London Underground. Sheryl Wilkins was killed in August of 2025, just months after Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo, whose murder Levy had already been arrested for. Let's rejoin our correspondent Barnaby Papadopoulos, who can bring us up to date with all the details. Barnaby.
Yeah, well, this trial has really heard a pattern of offending from Simon Levy. That's what's been found over the course of this trial. He's just been found guilty of multiple counts of rape and murder. I just want to take you through the particulars of those offences. Simon Levy has been found guilty of the rape of a woman in a car park in Tottenham back in January 2025. Prosecutors said that attack was so ferocious, the woman in question suffered a broken collarbone. We're not naming that woman for legal reasons. 2 months later, he's been found guilty of the murder of a 53-year-old woman, Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo. She was found dead in March 2025. Now, shortly after that, Levy was arrested and he was then released under investigation. He was released as one of a number of suspects. And whilst he was at large, on May the 1st, 2025, he was arrested and charged with sexual offences. Now, at the time, police asked prosecutors to apply for him to be remanded in custody. That would have meant that he would have been in prison awaiting trial for those offences. The police made clear that he was also under investigation on charges of rape and murder. Despite that, he was released on bail on the condition that he didn't travel on public transport. The following month, he was arrested again, and again he was bailed. He then failed to attend court on multiple occasions, but an arrest warrant wasn't issued. And then in August, the 24th of August 2025, he went on to murder Sheryl Wilkins, a 38-year-old. CCTV footage released by the police shows the moment that Levy met Wilkins in the car park of a B&M. That footage shows them going behind a wall where her body was later found. The footage shows Wilkins coming out from behind the wall at one point. That's the last time she was ever seen alive. The reason that this is just so significant is because this trial has exposed that there were potentially a number of opportunities where Levy could have been stopped. And it's also exposed the fact that he was a prolific sex offender. At the start of the trial, a jury heard that he had been convicted previously of 13 sexual assaults going back to 2018. In February this year, Levy was convicted of a series of sexual assaults committed between April 2022 and May 2025. And as a result, we now have statements from the Crown Prosecution Service who have accepted that there were failures in their handling of Levy as an offender. I just want to read you that statement now. This comes from Lisa Ramsaran, the Chief Crown Prosecutor for the CPS. She said, "Our deepest condolences remain with the families and loved ones of Sheryl Wilkins and Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo, and with the third victim who suffered a horrific and violent rape at the hands of Simon Levy. We recognise the level of concern around this case, and we have carried out a detailed review of our handling. We accept there was relevant information regarding bail that was not provided to the court where bail applications were being considered. Our actions fell short of the standards that victims, families and the public are entitled to expect. In particular, there were points where we could and should have taken a more robust approach to representations about bail based on the information available. We cannot know that what decisions the courts would have made had different or stronger representations been advanced, but we recognise our responsibility and we are sorry for the shortcomings we have identified." So that is a statement from the CPS. they're accepting some of their responsibility for what happened with Simon Levy, who has just been convicted of a number of serious offences, including rape and murder. And key to this trial has been the fact that he was a pathological offender. And those are the words of a prosecutor in this case, a prosecutor who said Levy's desire to assault women seems to be on the verge of compulsive or pathological.
You've already mentioned then that statement from the CPS. It certainly raises plenty of questions of this entire process. And I know we'll be hearing from them themselves within the next hour. But, I mean, there will be questions on the police force too.
There absolutely will, because as I have said, there were opportunities, potentially there were opportunities to stop Simon Levy that weren't taken. The fact that he had, despite already having been convicted of a number of sexual assaults going back many years, he was released on bail on May the 1st, 2025. He was released on bail the following month. He failed to attend court on multiple occasions and an arrest warrant wasn't issued. And then in August 2025, months after the murder of Carmenza Valencia-Trujillo, he murdered Sheryl Wilkins. So questions for the police, questions for the courts, and questions too, of course, for the CPS.
OK, Barnaby, we're just going to break off for a second and get some reaction. We can hear from the Deputy Assistant Commissioner, Kevin Southworth, on this now.
We need to understand better what could have been done better, if at all, to offender manage Simon Levy in such a way as we could have protected the public from the harm that he posed. There's also a collective wider bit of learning about system failure and how he came to be bailed from courts at the peak of his offending, sadly only to go on to commit even further offences.